But what are you going to prioritise and what are you going to throw in the holster for later? What do you think is going to give her the most bang for her buck? Meaning, what is she going to get the most benefit out of first? What's the weakest skill out of those ones? Because we had stance, we had pressure control, we had rotary. We didn't have anyone mention edging, so probably can leave that one go for later. What's going to help her the most?
Having the ability to flatten that ski.
Wow, it sounds a bit like edging. Which ski, Dave?
I think it's both of them.
So, like,
but more so
inside,
based
outside?
on pressure, side, unweighted. You don't see her extend it all. Like we said, very static.
Very static.
Statue position. So getting her maybe like rise up on the toes, getting her more forward to bring it in flat, so then she has the ability to turn easier. Because whenever I look at that, I see each foot kind of turning independently, simultaneously at times too. So they have the ability to turn those feet, but we just want them to turn them both at the same time in the same direction.
Yeah.
And even the first one, you know, you could see it was real quick, like kind of side to side. So they can turn their feet and they can turn their legs.
Yeah.
We just want to have it more controlled. But the best ability to do that is by able to flatten that ski, so it allows them to then turn.
Okay. All right, cool. There's some similar things coming through the groups. Like I'm starting to connect the dots. Like, okay, turn both feet. Because what happens if you turn one ski? What's going to happen?
Cross.
Cross, or maybe the wedge gets bigger, which you were seeing there at the front, which was okay. It's getting bigger. I want to keep the wedge the same size. So maybe if I turn both skis, the wedge will stay the same size. What happens if I get my shoulders like this? Have you ever seen one of your students this year do this, where they get their shoulder and then the foot kicks out to the side? Yeah, that makes the wedge bigger too, doesn't it? They hold on. The skier holds on to the last ski, meaning, okay, this is the ski that's getting me over towards Sandra, so I'm holding on to it, and I'm going to try to get the turn started, even though I'm still holding on to this one. Yeah? And all of a sudden I've kicked that ski out and around I go. Whereas Dave wants me to rise up and try to release the skis at the same time. Yeah, just a little bit, but turn them at the same time down the hill. It's a scary thing for a beginning wedge turner sometimes to do. Cool. Hey, but this is the way I look at it with this one. I would get them to turn their legs first, and I would get them to turn it slower. Now, I might try some of those other things that you guys were all saying along the way, but I definitely want to try to stop the shoulders from turning and try to get the legs starting to turn, and I would do it slower, and I'd try to get her to go down the hill a little bit slower. You know, when I say slower, I don't mean the speed she's going, I mean the rate at which she's twisting. I don't want her to get it around really fast. And that again can be a scary thing for a beginner student, but if you keep them on good terrain, hopefully they can go, oh, I'm going to turn my legs down the hill and enjoy that feeling of going down the hill a little bit. Then I'm going to turn my legs across the hill and enjoy the feeling of slowing down a little bit, and then repeat it from side to side. That's where I would go, leg turning and patience straight away with that one. And then I'd see what happened. Hey, Riff, if I'm turning my legs and not my shoulders, then maybe my hand isn't dropping back here. Maybe my hand is staying up here. If I'm turning both of my legs at the same time, as Dave suggests, then maybe my wedge doesn't get any bigger. Maybe it does, and I'll have to address it. But who knows until you do it, right? One thing on turning your feet, because Stevie wants to turn her feet, and I've heard that mentioned a few times. It's a good trick to turn your feet, but I want you to all know that what we really wanted to do is to turn her legs. It feels like you're turning your foot, absolutely. It feels like I got my foot and I'm turning it over there and I'm pointing the toes over there. But turning your foot only can do some funky things to your skiing as well. It can make the skis flatten and skid sideways if you only turn your foot. This is off the back of Lee's biomechanics presentation she did a couple of weeks ago. When you just turn your foot, it makes your little toe go down. And you can try it on the chair, well, it's pretty low chairs, but if you're hanging off the chairlift or if you're sitting where your foot is hanging and you just turn your foot to the side, you can do it by crossing your legs over or hanging one foot up, you'll feel your little toe go down like this. The foot actually starts to do this move. And if it does that while you're skiing, then if your little toe goes down on your outside ski, what's going to happen? You're going to skid sideways. It doesn't always happen because the guests don't always do exactly what we say. When you say turn your foot, they're probably not just turning their foot, they're probably turning their legs. And good job, you tricked them into getting what you want, which was turning the whole leg. But in reality, we want to try to get them to turn from the thigh up higher so that the foot turns where I want to go. Now, if I can do that, then I'll have better edging, better rotary, better balance, I'll have the whole shebang. Okay? So, long story short, it doesn't mean go out tomorrow and never say turn your feet again. I say that all the time. Okay? But by then, once I get them to start turning their feet, I'll work up and go, hey, now turn your thigh. See if that feels a bit different. But is that okay? Not too heavy? All right. Like I said at the start, hey, I want you to A, understand skiing better so that we can go out and help our guests better. That's really the crux of this. So if you have questions about some of these theories as we go for it and ask away. All right, here's our basic parallel turn. So when I say basic parallel, I mean the first parallel turn it's their first attempt. They've just come from a good wedge Christie or an advanced wedge Christie, and now we're going to try to get them parallel from the start of the turn all the way through. So a good advanced wedge Christie, it's, you know, another name for that is almost parallel, right? Yeah? An advanced wedge Christie, it's almost parallel. Where are they parallel? They're parallel in an advanced one. How far up in the turn are they parallel? So above the fall line. So they're parallel somewhere up here all the way through. So all we got to do is get them parallel just a little bit earlier. And here's some things that helps guests get parallel earlier. So we need to say, okay, they can do a good advanced wedge Christie. They do all that stuff well. I need to get them to go a little bit faster. I need to get their weight shifted to the outside ski before they turn, right at the start, very start. It's called early weight shift. If you can do that, turning them together parallel becomes a lot easier. And then that was the fourth point there, is turning both skis at the same time, right? That'll be parallel. But if I turn one ski, then the other ski, I'm going to be doing a stem or a wedge through the start. So simultaneously turning both skis. You've also got to get them to simultaneously change the edges at the same time. That's what said simultaneous twice, two different ways. But a wedge, you're resting on the inside edges, right? So an advanced wedge Christie, you're on the inside edges, and then you change the other one and you're parallel. So in a parallel turn, you've got to go both edges releasing and rolling at the same time. We do all those four things, or I shouldn't say we all do, but this is my method. I use those four things and I use a flexion and extension movement to try to help them do it. So you can see our picture here. There's a good prominent extension through the transition. Extension does a lot of good things for our skiing. How is it going to achieve some of these things? Some of the older heads in the room should know this. How does extension achieve some of these things? All right, so if you extend, it should flatten them, hopefully, at the same time. It should flatten them, making it easier to roll them together. Good. If they're both flat, if you rise up and it flattens your skis, are they going to be easier or harder to twist? Easier, so it makes it easier to twist them at the same time. So rising up is good. Can you use rising up to help you with the early weight shift as well? You can. All right, stand up. I do this with my guests in my class in a parallel lesson all the time. Sink down into a athletic skiing stance. And now rise up and extend. So you're going to do that in the transition. All right, sink back down. Rise up again. Sink down. Down. No, okay. So this time, when you rise up, only push with one leg. So when you just did that before, you were pushing with both legs, correct? So now, pick one, doesn't matter, left or right, and just use the muscles in that leg to push you up. Okay? All of a sudden, you're doing extension with a weight shift, right? You're rising up and only using that one leg to shift your weight and push it down into the snow. Good?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So extension can help you achieve some of those things. And then hopefully they're already doing really great stuff through the term because they did a good advanced wedge Christie prior to this. Let's have a look at a good parallel turn. See if we can see some of those things.
Basic parallel turns are steered turns where the skis remain parallel from
It's
start.
definitely a little bit faster than our wedge Christie because that makes that parallel initiation easier with some more
Skier
speed.
achieves this by rising through the transition. This extension is also used to help
A little bit of an
transfer the skier's
extension
body
through the
weight to
transition.
the new outside ski at the start of the
Balancing
turn.
early on that outside ski.
Progressive leg turning and edging are
Twisting
used
the
throughout
legs
turn.
or turning the
Skiing
legs
is
through the
balanced
turn.
basic position where the skier's weight is kept over
Both
the
of our
outside
edges
ski.
change at the same
A
time.